Hi and welcome back. In the previous lesson, we identified the meta-design approach as a framework within which design can develop narrative-oriented projects and set up new retail spaces. In this lesson, we will identify and select some of the tools available to the meta-design, and we will define their objectives and context of use. In some cases, they are design tools, in other cases, they belong to other disciplines and design as appropriated to them. In both cases, they have two main features. Firstly, they offer graphic or scriptographic outputs. In fact, visualization expressed through tables, maps, diagrams, sketches, storyboards, and so on, are a fundamental synthesis tool that belongs to the nature of design. Secondly, these tools propose an interpretative meta-design synthesis that always manifests great tension and projection towards the future. We can organize these tools in different categories according to their main aims. Tools to envision a new project context, tools to envision a new user, and tools to envision a new narrative around the project. The first category includes, for instance, moodboards and crossed variable maps. A set of classic tools used by design is represented by moodboards, including material and color boards and inspirational boards. As well defined by the international user experience design consultancy Experiencia, moodboards are visually stimulating collection of images, artifacts, color or material trends, used to suggest different design directions. They are tools for inspiration, often used to generate discussion within the project team about issues which are difficult to describe in writing or verbally, such as styles, forms, meanings, emotional qualities, lifestyles, or cultural trends. Moodboards can be used both for a contextual portrayal of the system of reference and for a future-informed portrayal aiming at defining new design direction. Another meta-design tool is the system of crossed variables. In this case, starting from the identification of two dimensions relevant to the context of the project, it is possible to build different systems of data mapping and reading. Among the most common tools, we have the Cartesian reference system. In this case, the two orthogonal planes represent the project variables aligned on divergent tensions. The result of this intersection is a system of quadrants that helps the designer to define at the same time a context and a design path. Another equally common system is the use of the matrix. It is a system of rows and columns that allows the exploration and intersection of several variables, and that, unlike the first one, does not constrain the project within a single prevailing direction. The second category, that is tools to envision a new user, includes, for example, lifestyle boards and personas. The lifestyle boards describe the lifestyle of the potential audience, its values, and the consumer context within which it is positioned. In the retail area, they are relevant as visual representations of specific and potential behaviors, habits, and sociocultural references. They can be built upon collages of images and data, which are related to visited places, everyday objects, type day maps, and so on. As a valuable tool for the definition of a user archetype, we also have the personas. The personas are fictional characters created to represent the different user types who might use a service, a product, a site, or a brand in a similar way. They are a tool for the evaluation of user objectives, desires, and restrictions. Their aim is to contribute to orient the decisions in a design process. Personas are very useful to associate a face to data and to the pieces of information about the user, information that would otherwise be too abstract, as well as to provide an evocative image able to define a particular user model and consequently its behavior in a logic of commercial and/or cultural fruition. The third category includes tools for which the narrative component is both a translation tool and a design synthesis transfer tool. This category includes metaphorical boxes and scenarios. As far as the relationship between brand, narrative dimension and retail space is concerned, a tool developed and tested in the professional and academic context is represented by the metaphorical boxes. If the store becomes the narrative context of the brand, the use of metaphors, the invention of images and narrative hypotheses is the design response to what would be impossible to convey otherwise. The metaphorical boxes present themselves as boxes inside which objects, sounds, olfactory and tactile materials can be found. The individual elements take some value when interpreted in relation to the context of the entire box. The metaphorical boxes act as a starting point for the interpretation of design hypotheses, capable of generating the novelty starting from the metaphorical stimulation contained in the box. They are conceptual proposals which not only enable to show and to synthesize a vision of aesthetic and functional meaning, but also enable to perceive it in a sensitive and perceptive way. Finally, there is the scenario building method. But what is a scenario? As said by the futurist Peter Schwartz, scenario is a tool for ordering one's perceptions about alternative future environments. Scenarios help to imagine a possible future, be it a product, a service or a space, and represent it through interpretative maps, descriptive reports or story-like narratives. They are not predictions of the future, but rather simulations of some possible futures. They are used both as an exploratory method and as a tool to make decisions. From the point of view of the design process, they represent one of the tools most capable of visualizing and highlighting the future-oriented nature of design. To sum up, in this lesson we have explored some of the main tools used during the meta-design phase by classifying them into 3 macro categories. These categories are fluid, hybrid, and they define specific objectives and features. The outcomes of these tools are different visual narratives, which are the result of these activities of research, analysis and meta-design synthesis. These visual narratives will converge and inform the following concept generation phase. The concept embodies the key and founding elements of the project, elements that in the following phases will act as a useful guidelines for the translation of the idea into a defined project. As a complex visual elaboration, the concept can take different forms and use different languages: maps, sketches, diagrams, collections of images, evocative models, multimedia narratives or other types of tangible creations. In any case, we can consider it at the same time both as a first tool of formalization of the design idea and as a tool for verifying its outcomes.